Imagine a young woman vanishing without a trace, her life disappearing into the shadows of exploitation. 12 years later, her identity finally comes to light, but the chilling truth behind her death shocks an entire community. This is the story of Dana Dodd, once known only as Lavender Doe. Dana Dodd was born on September 6, 1985, into a life that would prove far from ordinary. Her mother left her as a baby, disappearing from her world before Dana could even form memories. Her father, struggling with homelessness, was unable to provide stability, leaving Dana to navigate childhood with uncertainty and impermanence. She spent time living with her stepmother and half-siblings in Jacksonville, Florida, trying to find a sense of family in fragments of other people's lives. Despite the hardships, Dana was resilient. She learned early to take responsibility for herself, developing a quiet strength and independence. She was observant, clever, and resourceful, traits that would help her navigate a world that often seemed harsh and unforgiving. School was a challenge, but she adapted, forming bonds where she could and learning to trust cautiously. By the time she reached her teenage years, Dana had left much of her old life behind. She had grown accustomed to change, moving between homes, and fending for herself in ways most children never had to imagine. Yet she held onto the hope of normalcy, seeking small pockets of safety and belonging wherever she could find them. Her resilience masked the vulnerability that predators would later exploit, making her both brave and tragically exposed. By the time Dana entered her teenage years, she had already experienced more instability than most. Moving between homes, she spent some of her formative years with her stepmother and half-siblings in Jacksonville, Florida. Her father remained largely absent, and her mother had long been out of the picture, leaving Dana to grow up with a fragmented sense of family. Despite these challenges, she developed a sense of independence and street-smart awareness that would define her personality. As she grew older, Dana began exploring ways to earn money and assert control over her life. In 2000, at just 15, she left Florida, seeking both freedom and opportunity. She became involved with a door-to-door magazine sales team that specifically targeted runaways and vulnerable teens under the pretense of travel and work experience. The promise of independence and financial reward masked the exploitation that many young girls faced within the organization. Dana, ambitious and eager to carve out her own path, accepted the opportunity, unaware of the dangers that lurked. Her life during this period was a mixture of excitement and danger. She traveled from city to city, selling magazines and navigating interactions with strangers, some of whom were predatory. Dana's intelligence and adaptability allowed her to survive in this transient, high-risk environment, but she remained exposed to threats that could take advantage of her age and circumstances. By 2003, Dana, now around 17 or 18, had become a young woman accustomed to independence but still seeking stability and belonging. She was reportedly last seen in this year, continuing her work with the magazine sales team, selling items in parking lots and public spaces. This period marked the final chapters of her life before she vanished, leaving behind only memories. On the evening of October 29, 2006, residents of Kilgore, Texas, were confronted with a scene of unimaginable horror. In a remote area near a local oil field, an isolated stretch of land notorious among locals as a killing ground, due to decades of unsolved disappearances and suspicious activities, a young woman's body was discovered lying face down atop a smoldering pile of brush. The fire had been set mere minutes before discovery, and though the flames had consumed much of the surrounding foliage, some of the victims' personal belongings remained partially intact. Among these were a distinctive purple sweater and a pair of jeans, which would later inspire the moniker Lavender Doe. From the outset, investigators recognized the extreme brutality of the crime. The woman, estimated to be between 17 and 25 years of age, had been set aflame either while still alive or immediately after death, a grim testament to the calculated cruelty of her assailant. Forensic reconstruction placed her time of death on the previous evening, approximately between 8:15 p.m. and 10 p.m. Despite the destructive blaze, forensic examiners were able to recover 2 intact deciduous teeth, offering a rare and invaluable avenue for future identification through dental records. Her hair, partially burned, suggested a reddish or strawberry blonde hue, possibly highlighted, while her estimated weight of 100 to 120 pounds and height of 5 feet 3 inches to 5 feet 5 inches hinted at a middle-class upbringing, casting a stark contrast to the violent circumstances of her death. Evidence recovered at the scene provided a chilling glimpse into the nature of the crime. Investigators found $40 in the victim's pockets, effectively ruling out robbery as a motive. An empty gasoline can located nearby confirmed the deliberate act of immolation, revealing a calculated intent to destroy both the body and any potential forensic evidence. More disturbingly, forensic analysis detected traces of semen on the victim, indicating she had been harmed prior to her death. The meticulous yet merciless execution of the crime led authorities to classify the case as a homicide from the outset. Despite repeated investigative efforts, including multiple forensic reconstructions in clay, detailed sketches, and later advanced 3D digital modeling, the victim remained unidentified for more than a decade. Witness accounts from locals recall suspicious individuals near the oil field on the evening in question, adding a layer of unease and urgency to the investigation. The desolation of the site, combined with the violent, premeditated nature of the crime, underscored the chilling reality that the young woman had been targeted in a remote area specifically chosen to avoid detection. The discovery of Lavender Doe marked the beginning of a painstaking 12-year investigation, one characterized by meticulous forensic work, repeated dead ends, and a community left in suspense. Every piece of recovered evidence, from the remnants of her clothing to her partially preserved hair and teeth, became a crucial link in the effort to restore her identity and, ultimately, to bring the perpetrator to justice. The crime scene itself, a burned, isolated oil field, would remain etched in the memories of investigators and residents alike as a haunting reminder of the cruelty that had taken place in the heart of Kilgore. For over a decade, the girl known only as Lavender Doe remained a haunting mystery. Found burned and abandoned in Kilgore, Texas in 2006, her identity was completely unknown, leaving investigators and the community with a tragic, nameless victim. While her remains suggested a young woman between 17 and 25, with reddish or strawberry blonde hair, perfect teeth, and a middle-class background, these details were insufficient to reveal her true story. Authorities worked tirelessly over the years, producing clay reconstructions, sketches, and later a digital facial composite in 2014. Despite repeated efforts, comparisons with dental records and DNA of countless missing persons yielded no matches. Dana Dodd's life before she became Lavender Doe was marked by instability and hardship. It wasn't until 2018 that a breakthrough came. The Dana Doe Project, which specializes in using genealogical DNA to identify unknown remains, took on Dana's case. After exhuming her remains and analyzing her DNA, the team discovered she had Czech ancestry. Further research revealed a first cousin once removed living just 30 miles from the location where her body was found in East Texas. This connection allowed investigators to finally match Dana's DNA with living relatives, giving the formerly nameless Lavender Doe a name at last. In January 2019, the identification was officially confirmed, revealing that the girl who had been mourned anonymously for 12 years was Dana Dodd. Once Dana's identity was confirmed, investigators were able to connect her murder to Joseph Wayne Burnett, a known sex offender who had a history of exploiting vulnerable women. Burnett initially denied involvement, but later confessed in August 2018, revealing chilling details. He admitted that he lured Dana into his vehicle while she was selling magazines, taking advantage of her transient lifestyle and isolation. His confession also included the 2018 murder of Felicia Pearson, demonstrating a clear pattern of preying on young women who were outside family protection and in vulnerable positions. Burnett's motive appeared to be opportunistic, rooted in control and predation rather than personal connection. He specifically targeted women like Dana who were alone, unguarded, and engaging in work that put them in unfamiliar environments. During the investigation, authorities pieced together the final moments of Dana's life. Evidence indicated she had been assaulted before being murdered, and her body was set on fire shortly after her death, likely in an attempt to destroy evidence. She was found with $40 in her pockets, wearing a purple sweater and jeans, her body lying face down in a pile of burning brush. This level of cruelty underscored the premeditated and callous nature of the crime, and the decade-long journey to identify her highlighted both the challenges of forensic investigation and the resilience of those dedicated to uncovering the truth. In December 2020, Joseph Wayne Burnett pled guilty to the murders of Dana Dodd and Felicia Pearson. He was sentenced to 50 years in prison for each murder, ensuring he would face a lifetime behind bars for his horrific actions. The identification of Dana, once Lavender Doe, brought closure to her extended family, allowing them to finally mourn her by name. It also gave the community, law enforcement, and those who had cared for her gravesite over the years a sense of justice and resolution. Despite the decades of uncertainty, the combination of DNA technology, genealogical research, and diligent police work ensured that Dana's story was finally told and that her killer was held accountable. Her resting place at White Cemetery in Longview, Texas, continues to be a symbol of remembrance and a poignant reminder of the human story behind the name Lavender Doe. The confirmation of Dana Lynn Dodd's identity marked more than just the end of a cold case. It transformed a decade-long mystery into a human story of loss, resilience, and justice. For 12 years, Lavender Doe had been a symbol of tragedy, a face known to investigators, but a name unknown to her family and community. Her identification not only provided closure for her distant relatives, but also restored her place in history as a real person with a life, struggles, and dreams, rather than merely an unsolved case file. The impact of Dana's identification rippled beyond her family. Law enforcement agencies gained renewed recognition for the importance of forensic genealogy and interagency collaboration. The case highlighted the power of combining modern DNA technology with traditional detective work, demonstrating that even the most long-standing mysteries can eventually be resolved with persistence, dedication, and scientific innovation. For the public, Dana's story served as a stark reminder of the vulnerabilities faced by young women in transient or isolated circumstances. It sparked conversations about protective measures, the responsibilities of institutions that place minors and young adults in work programs, and the broader societal obligation to safeguard those most at risk. Community members who had cared for Lavender Doe's gravesite, leaving flowers and notes over the years, finally saw their efforts validated, knowing that the girl they mourned had a name and a story. Joseph Wayne Burnett's imprisonment underscored the pursuit of accountability, showing that the combination of confession, evidence, and advanced forensic tools could bring predators to justice, even years after their crimes. While Dana's life was tragically cut short, her story now serves as a testament to the resilience of investigative processes and the enduring commitment of families and communities to seek truth. In remembering Dana Lynn Dodd, one acknowledges not only the pain of her loss, but also the triumph of identification, the dedication of law enforcement and forensic teams, and the profound human need for closure. Lavender Doe is no longer just a mysterious figure. She is Dana, a young woman whose life, though brief, mattered deeply, and whose story will continue to inspire vigilance, empathy, and the relentless pursuit of justice for victims everywhere.